Hello, mathematicians. Today we're going to learn about the different parts that make up an equation. But before we do so, we're going to talk about equations and expressions and how they're different. So an equation is this entire thing that we see here, x plus 3 is equal to 8, but an expression is only x plus 3. So sometimes we're given a word problem and we're able to represent our variable and our constant, but we don't know what it's equal to, so we're not able to solve for x. So that's an expression where we're not able to solve for x. We don't know what it's equal to, but we could still represent it. However, in an equation, we would know that x plus 3 is equal to 8, and so we know what it's equal to, so we're able to solve for our variable. And another way that we could easily tell is that an equation has an equal sign and an expression does not. So remember that the expression here is just the x plus 3, and then the equation is everything, and because it's equal to 8, we're able to solve for x. Alright, so let's talk about the different parts of an equation. So our variable is a letter that substitutes an unknown quantity. So for example, we know that x plus 3 is equal to 5, and in this problem, our variable is x. Or we know that 4y plus 2 is equal to 10, and in this equation, y is our variable. So it's any letter that substitutes an unknown quantity, so any letter that you can possibly think of. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of examples. We're going to look at these 4 problems and we're going to circle all the variables that we see. So all of these are equations, and we could tell because they're all equal to a number. And here we have x plus 3 is equal to 9. X is the variable because it's a letter and it represents a number that we don't know. Here our variable is y. So in negative 5y plus 2 is equal to 17. We only have one variable here. The next one we have z minus 8 is equal to 5. So z is the letter that has an unknown value. And here we have 3a plus 11 is equal to 20. And our variable in this case is a. So it's always a letter that represents a quantity that we do not know. Okay, so coefficient is a number used to multiply a variable, and so basically it's the number in the front of the variable. If there's no number, then the coefficient is 1. So for example, 6z means 6 times z, and z is a variable, so 6 is a coefficient. Here we have x plus 3 is equal to 5. Now, it might not look like there's anything in front of the x, but it is 1x, so the coefficient in this case is 1. Or we have 4y plus 2 is equal to 10, where our coefficient is 4, and this one is easily recognized. And another example I didn't mention would be if we had negative x plus 5 is equal to 10. Now in this case it also looks like there's nothing in front of the x, but there's a negative here. And the negative represents negative 1. So our coefficient in this case would be negative 1. Okay, so just be careful with the ones that it appears that there's no number in front of it. It'll either be 1, or in this case where there's a negative, it'll be negative 1. So put a square around the coefficients. So here the coefficient is 1. And so 5 plus x is equal to 9. Just be mindful that it's 1. And we know it's positive because it's plus x. So here I have negative 5y plus 2 is equal to 17. So our coefficient here is negative 5. Here I have z minus 8 is equal to 5. So remember that that's 1z. And then finally I have 3 plus 4a plus 11 is equal to 20. And our coefficient is positive 4 because there's a positive 4 in front of the a. And now we have a constant. So a constant is a number that stays the same. It is not affected by the variable because it's a fixed number. So here I have two examples, and I have x plus 3 is equal to 5. Even though we're adding 3 to the x, our 3 is not being affected directly by the x. And what that means is it's not multiplied by the x. So our 3 here is independent. We have our x and we have our 3, and they're separate from each other. And then it equals to 5. So even though there's an equal sign here, 5 is also a constant because there's no variable in front of it. And here I have 4y plus 2 is equal to 10. Notice that the 4 is not a constant, it's a coefficient because it's in front of the variable. But these two don't have any variables after them, so they're both constants. They're fixed numbers. Okay, so let's put a triangle around the constants. So I have negative 4 plus x plus 3 is equal to 9. So negative 4 is a constant, positive 3 is a constant, and 9 is a constant. Here I have 5y plus 2 is equal to 17. So positive 2 is a constant, 17 is a constant. So z minus 8 is equal to 5. So negative 8 is a constant, and 5 is a constant. And here I have 5 plus 3a is equal to 11. 5 plus 3a plus 11 is equal to 20. So 5 is a constant, and positive 11 is a constant, and positive 20 is a constant. Okay, so all that we have left over are either variables or coefficients. So finally, to wrap it up, here I have negative 6x plus 7 is equal to negative 19. Just as you see them color-coded, the negative 6 represents our coefficient. Our x represents our variable. And our 7 and negative 19 are both constants. And that's it. So the different parts that make up our equation are our coefficient, our variable, and our constants.